The Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, live from the Bryant-Lake Bowl. Good evening, creeps. Please welcome to the stage your mysterious hosts, Eric, Tim, Joshua, and special ghoulish guest star, Shanan Custer.
Look out!
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, a podcast dedicated to suspense, crime, and the horror stories of the golden age of radio. I'm Shanan.
I'm Tim.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Eric.
And so tonight, in honor of the Thanksgiving season, we bring you the Mysterious Old Leftover Special, a live Q&A using nothing but leftover questions from our last live Q&A. How does that sound, audience? Yeah, they love it already. So on that note, where I begged for applause, let's start with an easy question. What is your favorite Thanksgiving leftover?
Oh, geez.
Sushi. I'm not a big fan of Thanksgiving food, so if I can sneak some other food into the house, and I usually work on Thanksgiving and come home with sushi for myself.
Pretty simple for me. The turkey on a bun with butter and lots of salt.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's also pretty specific. It has to be like past midnight when everyone else has gone to sleep and going downstairs. There has to be 2 floors in the house.
You're like Mr. Van Daan and Anne Frank.
And then you have to eat it in a corner?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a turkey sandwich with mustard on it. That's not the exciting
Oh,
part. But it's the
with mustard.
Oh,
Just
nice.
regular yellow mustard or special mustard? Fancy
regular
mustard.
yellow mustard.
Regular yellow mustard.
Do you turn on the lights or just know where everything is?
No, you eat by the light of the fridge being open.
Oh, perfect. I ate over the sink just this morning.
All right, so this is a question that we actually get asked a lot. This is a good one. What do each of you think is the gateway episode of old time radio? If you had one shot to hook someone
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Ooh.
on this dead medium, what episode would you play them to bring them into the fold?
There's a lot.
I think I'm going to go with the first episode of our podcast. For once, I think we were smart, and that is the house on Cypress Hill.
Cypress Canyon.
Cypress Canyon.
Cypress
I don't even know
Hill
the
is a
title.
whole other...
I'm a terrible salesperson.
You know, I'm gonna
Look at us. Yes, we all
I'm
very
gonna
Cypress Hill
go
oriented.
completely off the tracks here. What I came in with to sell my compatriots on more modern stuff was from the BBC series Fear on 4, an episode called The Horn, which is, you know, I'm going to use air quotes on modern because it's 40-some years old now, but, you know, contemporary.
Younger than you.
That's like the 80s.
Yeah. But it's this chilling ghost story, and, you know, you would never confuse it for being classic old radio, but all the things I love about classic old radio are in this episode.
I grew up with CBS Radio Mystery Theater and listening to that as a kid in the 70s. And that was my hook and in. But I don't think it really stands the test of time with a modern audience. There are flaws in that show, which we discuss on our podcast frequently. So even though that was my gateway in, I would say after I got in, I started listening to other things. And the one that really sold me, and I think it's a nice...
Turkey sandwich?
Nice turkey sandwich of
You can listen to it over the sink.
right. Infallible hero, so it gets a little goofy on that end, but also good mystery and scary. And that is I Love a Mystery. The I Love a Mystery series, and I would start with The Thing That Cries in the Night.
That's the one that I started with.
Yep.
So
Oh, so it worked.
Yeah.
I guess it did.
The sandwich that cries in the night.
It's not suspense or really hard hitting in the sense of, oh, that's super terrifying, but it is also not Superman or Lone Ranger and goofy on that end. It's a nice entry in. And listen, I've said this before. You're listening to that alone at night, and there's a baby that cries.
It's scary.
there's no baby in the house. And when there's not a baby in the house and there's a baby crying, I don't care where you are. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that is scary.
It's terrifying enough when there is a baby in the
house. Right.
So as we're entering the holiday season, but it's still spooky season. So here we go. You have to determine, when I give you the names of these spooky movies, or at least these characters, you have to think.
I think it's the movies.
It's the movies. Overrated, underrated, your favorite or your least favorite.
Okay.
All right. Dracula. Overrated, underrated, favorite, least favorite.
We just go down the line?
Yeah.
Favorite is my absolute favorite. Maybe my favorite movie of all time, 1931, Dracula. And the argument of it not standing the test of time because there's no music is exactly wrong. The fact that it has no music in it is what makes it amazingly stands the test of time and terrifying.
It ties for overrated and my least favorite for me.
All right. Wow. Tim.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay, how about The Mummy?
The Mummy, I'm going to go with slightly overrated because what people don't realize is that is a love story. It is not really about a mummy that terrifies the countryside or whatever and kills. The other mummy movies after that were, but the original Karloff Mummy is a heartfelt, it is a Hallmark Channel movie of sorts. So a little overrated as far as horror goes.
I think it's underrated. I really do, for the reasons Eric just said it was overrated.
Tim.
I'm similar to Eric, just slightly overrated.
Slightly overrated. Perfect. The Werewolf.
Completely overrated. It's interesting. In our last podcast, we talked, Joshua brought it up, that the need, especially over the holidays during World War II, for escapism, to have something joyful or something that wasn't hard to think about was very important. I think it was 43 The Werewolf came out. Is that correct? Actually, it was 42. Thank you. 1942. So Pearl Harbor had been bombed. And then 3 weeks later, The Werewolf hits the theaters during Christmas.
Pearl Harbor was 41, I think.
December of 41.
Yeah.
But point is, it was weeks. It was weeks after Pearl Harbor. They packed the theaters and people loved it. And the reason was we really wanted to think about something else other than that.
Sure.
Consequently, it perpetrated that it was a great movie. It really isn't. And Lon Chaney Jr. is not my favorite as an actor. So very overrated.
Too soon.
In a shocking twist, I'd say Wolfman is incredibly underrated. It is a very complex movie hiding underneath its horror movie tropes. There's fascinating elements about psychology, about identity, about anti-Semitism. It's a strangely powerful movie, I think. And I actually agree with you that Lon Chaney's not a great actor, but he is perfectly cast as this victim character because he's such a big, happy doof. And the werewolf thing is a curse. He's victimized by it. Yeah. And so I'm not a fan of a lot of his other roles, but I think he's perfectly suited to this role. I could have just said, Eric, you're wrong. It would have been a shorter answer. But there you go.
Lugosi's in that, too.
And he's good in it.
He's good in that, yeah.
I will say least favorite purely on the Lon Chaney Jr., who I think is a lovely person. You know,
other than the massive amounts of drinking and how mean he was to people on set.
I heard he's really sweet, but there's a whole upper echelon of like Karloff, Lugosi, Chaney Sr.,
Nepo baby.
Yes.
All right, one more round. Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, the original?
We'll say the film.
The 1931 Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a favorite. It's really good.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. Amazing. Karloff is fantastic in that.
Yeah.
With no words.
I'm going to shock everyone again and agree with Eric. My favorite. Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, again, the physical work that Karloff does in there is phenomenal. There's so much time has passed, and we're so desensitized to that image. I don't think we quite appreciate the makeup.
He created that entire cultural concept came out of him.
The body language, the choreography of his movements is amazing.
Yeah, I also liked it. Why did I go third?
That's amazing. You can go first this time. What is your favorite William Conrad performance?
Ooh,
Oh,
I can answer that for Tim, I bet.
Well,
I'd be curious.
I would guess you would say The Cabin from Gunsmoke.
No.
He's like, finally, I'm first. I'm gonna relish this.
I mean, Lion Engine versus the Ants jumps out at me.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
from Escape.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll say that.
This is why you're not first.
Yeah, clearly.
I think it has to be the waxwork from Suspense. And for anyone in the audience who has not heard that, it is Conrad performing every single role in the play. And 5 minutes in, you forget it's one actor. It's a phenomenal job. And Conrad has a very distinctive voice, too. You would not imagine that you would forget that it was Conrad doing all these characters, but you do.
I'll go with season 3, episode 4 of Canon. No, I'm just kidding. Anything he's done in Gunsmoke, the radio series, is I would have a hard time picking one of them, but anything he does in Gunsmoke, I love all of those. It's amazing writing and performances. That's what hooked me on Conrad. I'm hooked on Conrad.
okay, wow.
He's the phonics of old-time radio.
And then speaking, okay, so I should have probably asked this after the last, like, favorite, least favorite, and all of that. But what's the biggest disagreement you've had about old-time radio?
Ooh.
While discussing, right? You're discussing a particular episode, and it's just like
Yeah, it's a show called Frontier Gentlemen.
Frontier Gentlemen.
I
Josh,
love that show, and these
he
guys
loves
hate it.
I can't stand it. It's one of those he discovered. I said earlier that we keep discovering shows we didn't know exist. Like at some point, you guys say, we've heard of all of them. And he found this thing called Frontier Gentlemen, and it's not my cup of tea at all, and Joshua loves it. I would say that would be
fascinating, thoughtful, nuanced Western with tonal shifts that capture the imagination and performances that just bring you backwards in time as if you are living in the Wild West.
Thank you, Graydon Royce.
Wow,
So
that
it's like
no one
a
knows who that is.
cowboy with manners.
That too. You're selling it.
It's a cowboy with manners. He's from England, isn't he?
But in all fairness, we have a pretty good sense of humor when we disagree.
Yeah, you don't get into like serious.
No.
I feel really good about how wrong these guys are.
Yeah,
Most of the time.
you feel solid in your opinion.
I usually know when I bring something this is bad that I know, like, I've got it coming to me.
And we know when we're bringing something that like I love and they're going to hate or whatever. But I think that we also are very well aware of that difference. We don't get mad at each other for the difference in opinion.
I
Because
wouldn't go that far.
Yeah,
shut up.
it seems like you're pretty mad, especially
Because-
about that werewolf stuff.
The difference in opinion is what makes it interesting
man.
to listen to us discuss.
Yeah.
I
There was a
think.
series called Werewolf Gentlemen. That'd be awesome.
Now, I actually know this about Eric. How
Okay.
many of you have dressed up as characters from old time radio for Halloween?
Yeah, I used to not as much because we don't get kids anymore. But I used to dress up as the Green Hornet.
At the door
At
for
the door.
Halloween.
Wow.
Just
Hand
to
of
be
candy's the
clear.
Green
And
Hornet.
the kids were like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, they were just
Exactly.
like,
Plus, I was going.
I have not dressed up as an old time radio character, but as a child, I always loved, classic Hollywood and old actors. I was a weirdo, so I requested to dress multiple years as Humphrey Bogart, and when I was a small child. And what made it extra sad was that my younger brother always dressed as Robin, and he was just like, can't you just dress as Batman 1 year?
Can't you dress as Lord Bacall? I did not dress up in old radio costumes, but I was a big comic book fan when I was a kid. And I went to a comic book convention where there was an artist there doing characters. You could be drawn in whatever character you would like. That was at a time when there was a fairly recent revival of the Shadow out in the comic book world. So I have a character of myself as the Shadow.
Oh.
That's
which
cool.
means it's a blank piece of paper.
Yes.
And you had to pay rights for that?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, as a child.
Every year.
Every year.
Every year you have to pay Street and Smith a stipend.
Oh my gosh, that's cute. You're all just adorable, Humphrey Bogart. All right, what was your first on-stage speaking part?
Chicken Little.
Chicken Little. Adorable.
I was in...
This was last year at the Fringe Festival.
It's a dinner theater out at Chanhassen. Come check me out. I was in second grade.
Oh.
I was holding up a little paper chicken. It had all my lines written on the back. I read my lines. I had more lines than anybody else, sitting like Goosey Lucy and those other kids, those hacks, wannabes. I kind of peaked at second grade.
Yeah, I mean, Chicken Little takes the hit. And you're now gone back to reading scripts on stage.
I prefer it.
I came to performing late, so the first lines I had on stage was in college, and like bad sketches I wrote and performed in coffee shops. Particularly one that was a pair of bumbling hypnotists from a fictitious Eastern European country. Like as a vaudeville act. We cleared out that coffee shop so fast. But I'm very proud of my work.
I auditioned all the way through high school for plays and musicals and never got cast once. And so I never had that stage opportunity. And then I left theater and I went back to theater at an older age, around 28, 29. So my first ever role was in a dinner mystery thing, you know, those dinner mysteries, playing creepy Alvin Karpis. I was 28 years old. So there you go.
Wow. I don't know how I feel about that question. It was good though. It was good. All right. So, okay, we're wrapping up here. I have just two more, but this one's important because I'm curious because I've probably been there for some of these. Your favorite performance for the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society and your least favorite.
Oh.
We've been performing for 8 years.
From our live shows when we do perform work?
Yeah.
This isn't because it's hard to pick one. It's hard to remember any we did.
Yeah, you just.
Well,
this is perfect.
This is
what I was
50-year-old
envisioning
men trying to
with this.
remember.
Eric
shows
doesn't
that we
remember what old-time radio show we just listened to
No.
30 minutes ago. I will say I have a lot
Dancing
of
on the
fond-
ceiling, I remember.
lots of fond memories of our performances, but I will say we did an Agatha Christie night at Crooners, and I just thought the audience was so into it. It was a nice mix of Agatha Christie, both classic and a newly adapted version, and it felt like, oh, this is why we do this.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember that.
My favorite, because of my infatuation with Lugosi and the Dracula movies, when we did Orson Welles' Dracula adaptation the first time, and we just did it a few months ago, and mainly because I got to play Dracula, and that was very memorable for me. Also, the one time we did The Shadow, we did one Shadow once, and I got to play Lamont Cranston in The Shadow, and that was a lot of fun until we realized that was illegal. And
They will come after us.
They will come after you, so we don't perform
One of the
shadows
few
anymore.
old-time radio characters that is still tightly under copyright.
Yeah.
My favorite, I think, was the shows we did at Dalco Arts in New Prague.
Oh, yeah.
In part just because it was an overnight weekend we were out there, so it's like, it's summer camp with my friends.
Yeah, on the road show doing original works. That was fun.
And I can pick a least favorite. We were very grateful for the opportunity, but you weren't there, Eric.
Oh.
It was just Joshua and I at some radio.
Hurtful.
Oh, no. When it comes back to you, you're like, oh, yeah, that's the worst. So we didn't have any keyboard. It was just you and I. So I was like, had a tablet with a keyboard app on it.
Oh, my God.
We weren't wearing pants.
And like we were in the corner of a room where other stuff was happening. It was.
God.
Then you woke up next to Suzanne Plachette.
My least favorite is a little similar to Tim's. We I'll keep the specifics a little vague, not to hurt anyone's feelings, but for a benefit, we were asked to perform on New Year's Eve at the Wabasha Street Caves.
That's
and
that was rough. God, I see.
Imagine you
this
all
is
stood
bad
up.
because I've tamped it down, and now you just brought it back up.
Imagine a New Year's party where everyone turned their back to you and screamed as loud as they could while you were performing.
Nobody had any interest in us being there, and it was loud. And they were this close.
It was. Oh.
He's absolutely right. That
we
is
did it. We were there for over an hour, screaming into microphones.
You know why that might be one of my favorites? Yeah. Wait, we did that for free, didn't we?
Yes.
It
Oh
was
God, it was worse than that. It was
So
free.
now-
We didn't even get paid.
Everyone here in the audience knows you have other options than just sitting here watching us.
Order some champagne and talk as loud as you want.
We're very grateful you have chosen this path.
Oh, no, that's terrible. All right, so finally, in the spirit of the Thanksgiving season, what old-time radio show are you most grateful for and why?
I'll go first.
Tim's going first.
I can't remember what it's called.
See, this is why you don't go first.
This is...
It's Inner Sanctum Mysteries, because they have episodes in there that are like, they're sort of dark and twisty and funny, but they're just so vindictive and weird,
Vindictive.
and it just purposefully messing with you, the listener. Not just like, oh, we want to sort of give you a little thrill. Like, we're going to mess with you. You're going to come out of this episode worse than you were before going into it. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, mine's Frontier Gentlemen. No. I have to say it's Quiet Please. I think it's Quiet Please that made me want to do a podcast. It's the kind of radio show that, like, to really understand it, I need to unpack it and talk to other people about it, and then force strangers across the globe to listen to us talk about it. Yeah.
Well, up until recently, for many years, I would say anything that Carlton E. Morse wrote, who wrote I Love a Mystery and I Love Adventure and Adventures by Morse, they were just the perfect shows, and I love them so much, and I love his writing so much. But recently, I have had an epiphany in the last 6 months, and that show, Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, is just absolutely exquisite. It is just such a brilliant show. I can't listen to it enough. And it's so well done and so riveting. So
that's both nice and galling because we told you for so long how good it was.
Well, the story is that we had it. I'd never listened to it. We had it, and I couldn't wrap my head around it because it's about an insurance investigator. And you say the word insurance investigator, and somewhere around insure, I fell asleep.
Have you not seen Double Indemnity?
But there
insurance investigations can be exciting.
I now know that, but it
like
sounded
all parts of insurance.
so boring, and then I didn't understand why he was involved in all these crimes and what was happening. And now I get it. It took me a long time.
Why is his name Johnny Dollar?
Well, that's the thing that bugs me about the show is his name is. I'm insurance investigator. My name's Johnny Dollar, and not once someone doesn't look at him and go, "Come on."
They do in the pilot.
Do they?
Yep, they
The
laugh
audition
at him.
episode.
Yep.
Johnny Investigator.
Well, I'm grateful for all of you, and I'm grateful for our amazing audience tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for bearing your souls the way that you have
Such
tonight.
a messy bearing of souls.
All right. Tim, tell them stuff.
Hey, please go visit ghoulishdelights.com, home of this podcast. You'll find other episodes there, ones where we actually listen to radio episodes and talk about them afterwards, not like this one. But this is a special treat. You'll also be able to leave comments, vote in polls, let us know what you think about these episodes, and you'll find links to our store if you want to buy some swag, and to our Patreon page.
Yes, go to patreon.com/themorals and support this podcast. I'm not going to sell it hard because this is the same audience that was here on our last episode and already heard the pitch. But for you listeners, give us money right now.
And if you'd like to see the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society Theater Company performing live, we perform somewhere for almost 8 years every month. Oh, and sometimes more than once a month. And you can find out where we're performing and what we're performing and where, and how to get tickets by going to ghoulishdelights.com. So come see us performing live. And also you can find out when our next live podcast will be. That's another thing that we do, as you all know. Hey, what's coming up next?
Next is a old-time radio episode, believe it or not, of my choosing. It is an episode of suspense entitled The Tip. Until then...
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please, later November, go to ghoulishdelights.com and you can hear your responses to this podcast. And you can be like, that's